So the other day, I'm on Fanbase, which is a popular app that I tell a lot of people about. It's a social media platform that was started and created by Isaac Hayes III, the son of the legendary late great Isaac Hayes. So there was a room, and the room title was talking about she divorced him because he had ED. And maybe a couple of weeks from now, I do have a guest that's going to come on to talk about ED, being a paraplegic, being confined to a wheelchair, and just knowing the herbs and things to do, and how you can make life a little bit more relevant. So that'll be coming up in a couple of more weeks. Looking forward to that episode. However, obviously people had their opinions about the woman and the wife leaving the man, but the discussion took a turn, and we got to talking about, as young men, our sexual experiences as young men. Now, I would say about maybe 4 or 5 brothers in the room did say that they had been with their babysitter as young as 9 years old, right? And I've kind of had the similar experience. Sorry, mama. I thought I had told you this some years back, but if you didn't know, yeah, back on Woodrow, back in the day. But I also proceeded to talk about another situation, and the brother came out in the group, said, "Oh, brother, you was raped." Now, when people kind of call us out, this is why I say when it comes to conversations, people need to learn how to ask questions. If you've only known the person for a few months, weeks, or you just met them on the spot, to try to tell a person about their life, they won't receive you as much as if you ask a question. So the brother said, "Oh man, you were raped as well as I was." And I replied to him, I'm like, "Bro, I ain't been raped, man. Like, it was consensual. I knew what I wanted to do. I was, always been excited about the woman's body. Like, when I was young, I don't know if a lot of women remember this, but I might be dating myself, but my mama used to get these Spiegel catalogs. They used to come to the door, and I would always get that catalog, and I would go to the lingerie section because, I was always wanting to look at women asses, legs, toes, breasts, the whole nine, So my Aunt Geneva used to always say I was mannish. I didn't really know what that meant. I thought she was calling me a young man. However, me and this brother's going back and forth, and I'm like, bro, I ain't been traumatized because those sexual experiences that I had as a young man before I was even an adolescent, damn near pre-teenager years, it didn't traumatize me. It didn't make me a rapist. It didn't make me a pedophile. I never touched no child. Like, it didn't fuck up my mind to where I couldn't function because I loved women. I wanted booty. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to bone. I wanted to screw. I wanted to have sex, right? But the brother just kept going in. Now, the discussion remained respectful, all right? But you know how sometimes where you'll get done with a dialogue with an individual and you just start to really sit and think about what they were saying. Now, the brother might have worded it wrong, and I know he meant well, but still to this day. And I had a talk with a good friend of mine back in Kansas City, Missouri, and we talked, and she was like, "You got to do this show," because at the same time while I was talking and the brothers began to open up in the room, she began to experience a lot of healing because of things that she went through as a girl being raped at the age of 6. From where she come from back in them days, in those families, in the country, a lot of these things were cultural. The church knew about it. Your great uncle knew about it. Your great auntie knew about it, but nobody said a word. It was like hush hush in the black community. And she even went on to say, because she's a professional now in the professional world and is around a lot of people of diverse cultures, we're not the only one jacked up with this situation, that in 2024, people are just now coming out and speaking about these things. So when I spoke on it, I didn't speak from a traumatized person, or so I thought. And I'm going to bring up that situation in a minute to where I think where it got me. Again, I don't think it warped me. I still don't think I'm traumatized, but I think I might be traumatized. There might be a link to this. So as I moved on with life, obviously, I've met plenty of women, had plenty of experiences. And as a young man, I began to start making babies. Right. And it's something that the brother Rob Love always talked about, how a lot of black men and women ain't nothing but mammies and bucks that reproduce children for the system. When he said that, it clicked to me and it made me think of myself. I really didn't prioritize marriage. Well, it went out the window after my oldest children's mother, when I discovered that she had been with another man and had an abortion. She was pregnant by another man and had an abortion. That pretty much put marriage out of the window for me. Or, when I started paying child support, I never seen it coming. I didn't know nothing about child support. I didn't know people could put you in the system to give a check for a child that you're able-bodied and right there taking care of. So that kind of damaged me. That traumatized me. There's no lie about that. And then you have to understand, I had an older child that I didn't know anything about. But this did not stop my pattern. And I proceeded to meet the women who had my children. There was no real commitment. There was no real future. We didn't talk about marriage. We just got together. We dated. We were boyfriend and girlfriend. We were having unprotected sex, and babies came about. And this went on all the way up until as of recent. And so what I didn't realize was at the time, because I know one thing about me, what has traumatized me is the system. The system of white supremacy has traumatized all black people. But as far as me actually wanting to pull the trigger on a woman to marry her, that wasn't going to happen. Child support was enough of me. The things that I went through with my oldest kid's mother, having that abortion by another man, being pregnant by another man, that did something to me. Walking in on an ex of 14 years and another man in our bedroom, that did something to me. But here's the thing, I'm built a little bit different, right? See, the thing about it is, I'm not a jealous man, I'm not a possessive man, and I'm not an insecure man. And even in the situation that I walked in on that bedroom, it was a very surreal moment. Most people say, oh man, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna whoop your ass. I didn't do none of that. I experienced a lot of humility and embarrassment to my manhood, because the one thing we talked about in that group is that a man's sex game brings him pride. It brings him confidence. It makes him feel like everything, right? And that made a lot of sense. So I couldn't understand with the sex life that we had that I knew was great, knew was phenomenal. There was some other things that was working into play that was on a mental level as with my ex. However, there was a situation that I had as a 14, 15-year-old walking back and forth from high school from baseball practice. I eventually was walking down the street back in my old neighborhood where I grew up in, and there was an older lady that used to always be outside. She didn't have on a lot. She was one of those older women. She had a body like a youngster, sometimes exposed, cleavage out. Daisy Dukes, Daisy Dukes was in around this time. She had nice thick legs and pretty feet. But every time I walk down the street when I'm going home from baseball practice, this woman always made it her business to make sure that I saw her. And eventually we developed a talking relationship to where we became like friends. Now I was thinking to myself, well, I take that back. It never dawned on me, and I never thought about, does she do this with other young men that come down this block? And the whole time I'm knowing that I do want to be in this woman's draws. I knew this and I wanted this. So the relationship eventually got to, hey, if you want to make some money, you can come cut some grass for me. I'm like, cool. But I was hoping one day that she would ask me in that house, maybe for some Kool-Aid or something like that. Because now I'm reflecting back on the babysitter, right? And even with the babysitter, I was like what they say, fresh. I was kind of, aggressive, always wanted to sit in her lap, lay against her breast. You understand what I'm saying? So one day, after I got done cutting her grass, coming from baseball practice, now I've been running fly balls, running bases, hitting, push-ups, exercise, and weightlifting. I'm coming through her house now. I got that opportunity that one day I went in her house. And this is what I remember specifically, just like it was yesterday. Do you want to learn how to make a woman feel good? I knew this woman was enticing me to have sex. I said yes. And thus began that relationship for like 2 or 3 years. It was nonstop, right? This woman taught me everything about a woman's body, taught me how to make love to a woman, taught me certain things about how to get a woman to an orgasm. Now, I'm like, I think I was 15. She's 40. So when I said this in the group, the man was like, oh, you was raped. Nah, bro, that's cap. Because it was consensual and I knew what I was doing. However, what I didn't realize was there was something else in me being broken as an individual, biologically, mentally, and also spiritually. This woman, as like they say, was like the spirit of Jezebel. Now, I'm not saying she's a bad person, but I desired this woman. I had a girlfriend. My girlfriend never knew about her, right? But I desired this woman. I lusted for this woman. I couldn't operate. If I walked past her house and she didn't come to the door that day, because I expected us to have that interaction, it kind of offset me where I had like an attitude or I was kind of moody and didn't even realize that as I began to get older, that experience right there might have set me on a course to where I've had these type of relationships with women the majority of my life. Now, one would ask this, if you know me personally, you know that my parents have been married like 54, 55 years going on strong. And all of my brothers and all my siblings are married, but not me. Now, I never had the conversation with my brother to ask what may have happened to him. Did he have these kind of experiences? I don't even know if either one of my brothers have had the experiences. But then when you start to open up that can of worms and you start to talk to a lot of brothers who are in their 40s and their 50s, some even in their 60s, you're going to start to slowly but surely find out that this thing was a real reality in our community. Now, I went to go see my cousin Corey Poe performing a play called The Good Guys. And what that play was about young men who were molested by older women, whether it was a school teacher, whether it was a family member, a friend of a friend, you know. But even when I went to that play, I kind of looked at it like, yo, that's some corny shit. Like, who's going to be upset and run and tell about a grown woman giving you some ass? This was my thinking, right? The whole time I'm sitting in the audience, not even realizing that was a sick ass mentality that I was thinking about. Even when I saw the movie Antoine Fisher, like, the movie had no appeal to me back in the day because I thought that was corny. Like, bruh, you traumatized by a grown-ass woman taking advantage of you? Like, she gave you some ass. What's better than that, right? Not realizing that I'm dealing with a trauma bond I didn't even realize existed. And throughout the course of my life, the only time women had value to me was in that bedroom. Outside of that, I don't trust you. I don't love you. Matter of fact, I told so many women, look, I could fuck you better than I could love you. You can get this D, but you can't have my heart. And this is the way I've carried on. And having that mentality, I made a mistake twice. I'm missing out on 2 women who were actually worthy of marriage, worthy of bearing my children to keep it in the home. Let me tell you something. Young men watching this show, I was told to do this show and I wasn't going to do this, but this is for you. This is not for me. I'm 51. I'm done. Right. Not saying that, you know, I couldn't possibly have a healthy relationship or even be married, but my best years are behind me. Now, don't y'all get it twisted. Now, with me saying that, don't think I'm broke now. I'm a healthy, well-working 51-year-old man. But the best that a man and a woman has to offer and give themselves is like in your 30s, your 40s, your 20s, right? We all looked at people like a young man I know from the basketball ranks he proposed to his fiance at 25. He's a white kid. He ain't looking back. A lot of ethnicities and a lot of community people, they marry young. So why don't we marry young? What happened to us? And the one thing that I know about us as black people, we are a bunch of look at me's. We are a bunch of look at me's. We want people to look at us. But when a person looks at you, what are they really looking at? What value do you bring to the world besides ass, your sex game, your beauty? What does that bullshit even really mean in the grand scheme of life? And mostly everybody black that I know that's traumatized, I'm speaking about us as a community, whether male or female, there's a sexual trauma bond attached to it. There's words that a parent told you as a child that's attached to it. And the whole time I've been living my whole life thinking like ain't nothing wrong with me. I was straight. Like, who wouldn't want a grown ass woman to get him some trim? Not realizing that did something to me. I don't think it made me depressed. It didn't make me cry. It didn't make me have to go see a doctor. But what it did was it was unsetting as far as my approach to relationships. Your sex game had to be tight. It had to be all that. If it ain't, we ain't gonna be in no relationship. We can't be together. Up until I started to get older and realize that there was more that I wanted from a woman. See, one thing that Nas said in one of his songs, I hate females with no intelligence. I agree. So now when it comes to women, it's not so much of what she looks like or how she's built. If she has no intelligence, I can't catch no erection for an idiot. If she's in these streets and she's at the grandma age and she still want to act like these girls in her second childhood, I can't catch no erection off of that. The man said something in the group that made a lot of sense. He said, men get a mental erection and we get a physical erection. I'm experiencing a lot of ED on the mental level when it comes to women these days. But was I raped? The brother in the group said I was. I can sit here before you right now and can tell you that I don't know if I would consider that rape. Maybe I was, maybe I wasn't. But now I'm starting to realize the effects that it had on me the course of my life. And I apologize. I apologize to the women I had children by. Not all y'all was worthy of marriage. Let's just keep it real. But there's a lot of things I could have did different. But if it was anybody out that I definitely missed out on, that I screwed up with, you know, it's funny. I have children by 2 women that are Tauruses and their birthdays on the same day. How ironic is that? But those are the 2. And you know, when you stop dealing with an individual, you start to see them for who they really are. My oldest child's mother told me, don't marry nobody else. Don't have no more kids. I want to get married. In my mind, I thought it was bullshit. Subconsciously, I didn't think I was worthy of marriage because all I ever knew was just how to fuck. Sorry to be graphic, but I'm having a transparent conversation. That's what I know. Right? That's what I'm good at. Until one day when I met a young lady that I really cared about in life, she put an accountability on me, said, "Nigga, you need to learn how to make love to me. You need to do this to me." She put this accountability on me before we went in the bedroom, and I struggled. I'm like, oh, damn, something's wrong. I'm not working no more. But it wasn't that. There's certain things that I did not learn from the mental aspect because maybe that trauma bond began when I was 14 to 15 years old. Prepped into a situation to where it put me on a course of where this is the value. And I'm not going to sit up here and listen. A lot of people say she molested me. She was a predator or a pedophile, whatever. I don't even have no issue with that woman. I'm not even going to put the blame on that woman. But now I can recognize it and I can deal with it and I can heal it and correct it for myself. This is crazy. Never did I ever think I would do an episode like this, right? But it was brought to my attention. When I was in that group, it was some things that was broke in me that I had to sit and think about, like, damn, how did this affect the people in my life, the women and my children? And see, out of my two brothers, out of all my siblings, my other brothers are married. And I'm telling y'all right now, marriage is the dopest shit ever. And that's the biggest mistake that I made in my life. You'll read about that in the upcoming book that I have coming up. It's called The Marriage Mistake. A lot of us made the mistake of not getting married because we thought that shit was lame. We thought it was corny. You know, my brother got married. I was his best man. I was the one about to pass out of his at his wedding. But I'm like, damn, you know, my brother giving up everything early. And I love my sister Shay. But guess what? Boy. And I know they have their issues like all couples. But guess what? Two things they got. They got history and heritage and beautiful children. That when those children are raised in the house, siblings fight, there'll be a little confusion, but it's still together. As opposed to when you got children by multiple women and they growing up in different homes, it's hard to teach them all the same thing because they're getting influences from all over the place. So young men, do not be like me. Straight up. Got to tell you that. You don't want to be like me. When you get a woman that value you, don't look for a woman that loves you. Look for a woman that value you and is going to walk with you. So when you do get older, if you do experience ED, she still loves you no matter what. You're still valuable to her. If you do lose your job or your body changes, she still loves and values you no matter what. And that's the most critical decision you're going to make in your life is the woman that you lay down and have children with, right? Disclaimer, I'm not dealing with ED, so I don't want nobody to get no. But I'm having a real conversation and I'm compassionate towards men who are dealing with that situation, right? Because the body has a biological clock and everything's going to be shut down, right? But what I'm saying is, young man, a lot of y'all are going to meet that one young, lock it down. Because let me tell you something. Right now, as you get older, the shit gets worse. Trying to find you a good woman is like shopping at the thrift store. You ain't going to find nothing worthy of really spending money on, right? This is bullshit out here. And the older they get, the more modern they become, the more damaged, the more bitter. They ain't no good to you. And you got to repair and fix everything. Every motherfucking man they dealt with before you got to fix. That's not fair to you. And I can say the same for women. But I made that mistake. My daughter's mother told me, don't have no more kids. I want to get married. Didn't believe her. As of recently, my youngest daughter's mother. I dropped the ball on that one. Right? But I'm happy for her because of her situation. She has been proposed to. She's going to soon be a married woman. Congratulations to them too. But I'm happy for her. And I love her enough to see her to want love and be loved. That's manhood, gentlemen. That's the highest form of masculinity. It's when you start working with this. I need y'all to go and re-examine your life. When you were young, when you was trying to get at your babysitter, or that woman that was your mama's close friend, or somebody from church, or somebody you knew through family, and you started getting it on early. I need you to re-examine how did that affect your life, because it affected mine, and I didn't realize it. And I'm thinking I'm straight, I'm good, but it set me on a path to where I missed out on a lot of things young in my life, a lot of things that could have been valuable. Do you know I would give anything if I could start all over again and have a child by one woman and raise all my children under one roof? Even when I was a young father, before I got struck with lightning, with that reality that these hoes ain't loyal, just coming home to see the kids at the house did everything for me. It was everything for me. I go to work You understand? I didn't need no money for myself. I go to work for my family, get a car to the missus, take care of these kids, do what you got to do, give me a few dollars for this, that, and the third. Maybe buy me a couple, some basketball shoes. Y'all know I'm a sneakerhead when it comes to the court. And that was it. That was all for me. But early, I learned the dark side, the reality of women. That was equally as traumatizing because it's hard for me to trust. And I know the bullshit when I see it. So, was I raped? I would say probably mentally. Can't say physically. Because I can't say I wouldn't do it over again. I'm just being real, you know what I mean? I'm just having a moment. And, Chantel, I dedicate this show to you. You dope. And I thank you for having that conversation with me. Because you know how sometimes I ain't going to receive it from that brother telling me that I was raped. But when I got that phone call, I'll be like, listen to me. I feel what you're saying. But if you value me and we good friends and we tight like that, you got to listen to me. That brother was right. And this is why, yay, nay, A, B, and C. And when I started to think about it, because I ain't trying to hear that from everybody, because everybody come from a different place. But when she started to really break it down, because I said a lot in that group, and I was like, damn, I think I might have unloaded a lot in that group today. But what happened was people DM you in the back rooms like, yo, I want to say this, but people would laugh at me. Yo, I went through this, but I don't want to be judged. Listen, I'm transparent as hell. I live a real life, people. I live a real life. I can't sit up here behind this mic and tell people how they should live or get suggestions, and talk about rising above black culture if I can't do it myself, if I can't hold myself accountable. And I don't have a problem with anybody holding me accountable. So I try to set the example and I try to inspire people to be the best of themselves. But at the same time, we all got work to do. And maybe I might be a little stubborn because, again, sometimes I say I see the trauma. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I say I may need to see a counselor. Well, the only person that could counsel me is laying dead in their grave, and that's the great Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She was a third-generation psychiatrist, and the things that woman embodied in her mind and her work, she would have been the only one to understand some of the things that I was feeling, especially dealing with societal issues, right? I don't, everybody deals with things through religion, prayer, and that prayer, it works, but I needed something practical, right? So maybe I do. I don't know. I have, I have reached out to my cousin, shout out to JK, to have real serious discussions that people that I could trust in. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up, man. Like, I've said enough. Mama, my mama gonna see this and call me, but you didn't tell me all. No, everything is good. We straight. We good. And I also want to apologize to my children because you deserve better as far as my decisions as a father. And that's what this whole platform is about. As men, we have to become better. And sometimes you have to deal with the ugly truth. Right? I would have never thought about this had that brother say you was raped and we went back and forth. Like, bro, who the hell you think you talking to? Like, but he was right. And when the next time I talk to him, be like, yo, bro, you was right. Because sometimes when people tell us the dark truth about ourselves, it's the truth. The first thing we're going to do is go on defense. And I'm guilty of that. And I actually thought I was matured past that type of behavior. But I'm not. But I'm going to get better. I'm going to get better. So life is what it is. My guys, because I know it's more of us out here, sit and think about what I spoke on. When we was getting it in early and we thought it was a good thing, but that older lady might have been taking advantage of us. And I do also want to acknowledge a lot of brothers who are homosexual, who were touched by men young. And I'm sorry, and I have compassion for that. This is why I don't judge people. I don't have a problem with anybody of any sexual orientation. I just like good people. The brother even asked me, what if it was your daughters? And I gave him an honest answer. It depends on the age and was it consensual. If my daughters ever come to me and say, Dad, yeah, let me tell you this. Before I kind of get in my feelings and my emotions, I'm asking at what age and did you consent? Did you know what you were doing? If my daughter said, Daddy, I knew what I was doing, I consented to it, what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do? Go get a gun and go kill the individual? So life is real, ladies and gentlemen. It's real out here. It's real. And it's time we start having these conversations, and it's time to stop hiding shit from our kids, and it's time to stop sweeping stuff off the rail and have these comfortable conversations. Like my dad, like, bruh, I'm telling you, man, the day I was hooping, man, I seen a boy that looked just like you, man. And now he said he didn't know his daddy. And I asked him if he didn't know his daddy. I knew his daddy was. I'm just joking. I'm being stupid, but dad, I'm telling you, man, I'm asking you, bro. You need to ask questions because I think you got another little boy that was growing around Wilson and stuff like. Nah, I'm just joking. Mama, don't whoop his ass, mama. My mama probably looking at my daddy like, what? Anyway, man, this is the place where we want to rise above this man. I mean, this is the place where we bring it sexy back to the everyday hardworking men and women who impact your life within close proximity. We want to rise above this madness, which is called black culture. And one thing that we have to stop doing is stop this single shit. It's time to get married again, ladies and gentlemen. But marry an individual with value. You right? You don't want to be like a bunch of these motherfuckers out here, man, who in their 50s and 60s and 40s and single and think they got all the answers, all on social media, getting all these fucking surgeries just for a motherfucker to look at them and all this cosmetic. Hell, I heard even dudes getting BBLs and DDLs and that. What the hell is wrong with y'all? All these looking like, let's stop this corny bullshit. This is like, black culture is like the worst thing I've ever seen. And again, I'm not defending. Listen, somebody was talking about you got to stop it with this black culture. Well, if you don't read the code, then that's on you. I'm not going to stop talking about black culture. Read the code. Listen, I keep these. Y'all think I be capping. I keep these books on hand. I study and read this book every day, right? It's the greatest thing ever. Not only that, his protege, the ISIS papers, I keep it right here. Until y'all read those books, man, we got to stop having these conversations because it's a waste of my time because you just don't know. It's like somebody come up to me, yo, I want to coach basketball, but I only coached football for 20 years and never coached basketball. Do you think I'm going to trust you to coach a group of kids I was sending your way for basketball, but you swear but now you're a crook? No, it don't work like that. You know, study, research. Stop being arrogant like you know every goddamn thing. Don't nobody know nothing. There's no such thing, according to the code, there's no such thing as an educated person. You will never know it all till the day that you die. This is why Neely Fuller always says, I'm still learning. So when I talk to people, I say the same thing. I'm still learning. I don't give a damn how many degrees I hold. And here's another thing. Silence is golden because people don't never really know what you know until you open your mouth. So a lot of times, a lot of y'all degree holders be talking that shit. I just be sitting there listening to you like I don't know nothing. And I'm like, okay. I'm not impressed. Are you a problem solver? Right? Anyway, man, let me go ahead and shut it down, man. Try to keep these shows under 30 minutes and I'm at 27 and 43 seconds. Hey, listen, man, I'm grateful for everybody that sat in to listen. This is my story and it might be my trauma. I know in the future, you know, moving forward, I may do a couple of more episodes. I'm definitely going to be bringing that brother on in a couple of weeks. He's going to be talking about men experiencing dealing with ED. And I'm going to be bringing on another couple who is the farmers in the urban community. So these are the problem solvers. These are the people who I would consider to be my heroes. Everyday people that impact your life within close proximity. On that note, man, remember this. The biggest mistake that you can make in life is to think that you have time. Make every day count and be with people that value you. Until next time, peace.
Equality versus equity. Equality means every child gets a pair of shoes. Equity means every child gets a pair of shoes that fit. That means every school district has to meet every student's individual needs.
I'm Jerry O'Green with the Black Student Advocate. We advocate for black employees and black students within the K-12 school districts. We hold school districts accountable to make sure that black students and employees are in a fair and equitable workplace.